allowing live zooming in and recording and all that. We might actually have, some administrators from Clovis. Does anybody know where Clovis is? Near Fresno, that want to see how that happens. So they want to zoom in on a class and just see how I'm running the class like this and recording it and all that stuff. Don't know when this is going to happen, but that's what's going on. All right. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Huh? I'm just glad they're here now. That's a long drive. Yeah. Okay. It's inventory time at the Mathlete Shoe Superstore. To speed up the process, Iris, the store owner, decides to find the value of the inventory by counting the number of pairs of shoes and $30 intervals. She makes the following table. Make a relative frequency histogram of the distribution of shoes in the store. All right. On yours, I'm going to make sure you have a graph there. It's a lot easier to make the histogram when there's a graph, right? Like when there's a grid for you to do it. All right, so we're going to start, we'll go here. So the bottom part is going to be the value of the shoes. So please make sure you label. And then this is the relative frequency. All right, so to find the relative frequency, it's this value, the number of pairs over the total number of pairs. Now, did I give you the total number of pairs? Not this time. So you're going to have to add all these together. And it's 140 is what you guys got? Okay. So then take 25 divided by 140. And you can round, so this is about 18%. 32 divided by 140. And that's about 23%. 30 divided by 140. And that's about 21%. 18 divided by 140. About 13%. Now, as we go all the way down, all of those percent should add up to be about what? 1. That's how you know you didn't miss anything. If you're more than 1 away from it, so if you've got like 0.99 or 0.101, you're okay. But if you got like 0.93, you got a mistake. 22 divided by 140. 0.17. Because sometimes you're rounding up, sometimes you're rounding down. That's where it's going to kind of even out. 6 divided by 140. 0.04. 5 divided by 140. 0.04. 2 divided by 140 is 0.01. All right. But yes, just double check that you're close to 1. If you're more than, if it comes out to be 1.05, you're probably too far away. Double check your numbers. If it's 1.01 or 1.02, you're pretty close. All right. It's probably just due to the rounding. So now it's in intervals of 30. So instead of going 0 to 30, we're just going to go count by 30s. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, and then 240. Remembering that the right side of our bin, so like 30 is in this bin over here. It's in that second one rather than the first one. So the first bin is from 0 to 30. Well, we need to also include, so this is like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 5. All right. So the first bin from 0 to 30 is 18. So that's 0.1, 0.2. So just under 0.2 and over. From 30 to 60 is 0.23, so it's a little bit above that one, and over. The next one is 21, so it's a little bit below that, and over. 0.13 is just above 0.1 and over. 0.16 is just a little bit above that one and over. Now, depending on how you count it here, if you counted it like every 2 is 0.1, it's fine. I'll be checking how your scaling is. Then from, oh, that's 150. 150 to 180 is 0.04. So if this is 0.1, so it's about half the size. And then this one's going to be the same height. And then this one is teeny tiny. Questions? Cassidy?
I'm just struggling with having, like, let's say 2018 and knowing where it is on.
As long as you get it below the 0.2, because it's going to be an estimate. All right. This is where, like I said, if I had a grid there, I would be a little bit, I'd be able to get a little bit more precise. So
if it was like 0.23.
Could be just a little bit above the 0.2, huh?
And then if it was like a 0.30, would it be above like the 3 or the 3?
It'd be right at 0.3, yes. Okay. So yeah, these are all the decimals. So this is like 0.1. I just didn't want to write it all out. 0.2, 0.3. Okay. So you can also count by halves. So like 0.05, 0.1, 0.15, 0.2, if that helps you. It's whatever. I don't care how you count going up. Okay? Yeah. It's for you, but then you just put your bins in the right, like in between. Is it going to be exact? No. This is mainly a sketch. Questions? All right. Write 2 different questions about starting school later. One question should be biased and what should not be, and one should not be. Explain why the bias statement's so. Me writing out a bias statement is not going to help you on your ESA. So I'm going to ask some people to volunteer to tell me which one is their biased one about school starting later. Anybody want to volunteer? It helps your classmates to get ideas. Cassidy?
So for bias, I put, I don't know if this is right, but
that's okay.
Do you prefer starting school earlier so you get more time to sleep in?
I like that.
And then non-biased would be, do you prefer starting school later or earlier?
Okay, so the first one you said is, do you prefer starting school later so that you can sleep later? So that is a biased. Okay. And why is it biased?
Because you're talking about sleeping in.
Something that they may enjoy. You're putting, remember bias, you're trying to either get a feeling or some influence.
I don't know if I did this right either, but for non-biased, I just said, do you think school should start later?
That's great for a non-biased. That's a great one. Do you think school should start later? Do you think what do you think the school start time should be? Okay, those are great non-biased. Biased would be anything that you would want to try and, any words in there that would want to influence your reader or your person you're surveying. Getting more sleep. Studies show that teenagers need this many hours of sleep. Are you in favor for a later start time? Does that make sense? Anything that will cause influence is a bias. Notice, oh, I forgot to go, I never got a chance to go get my water. Okay, anybody else want to share their bias questions? Nope. All right. A young boy on a plane says to his mother, I wish they would stop turning on the seatbelt sign because it makes everything so bumpy. I've actually heard this on a plane before. What is the lurking variable? A lurking variable is something that is affecting your outcome that you have no control over. Marlon? Yeah, turbulence. So what is the lurking variable is turbulence, because that's what's causing them to turn the light on. And as an effect, well, let's see. The turbulence is causing the plane to shake, which is causing them to turn the light on. Okay? So that would be the lurking variable. Lurking variable is something that's outside the control of the person. Okay? Suppose you wanted to find out who the classmates in your graduating class want for the teacher speaker at graduation. Would you conduct a census or a sample? Ideas? Would it be, let's think about this. A census means you talk to everybody. Is it feasible to talk to everybody and get their opinion? Yes or no? Okay, so this answers could be both, by the way, based upon how you answer the second part. If you do a census, how would you get everybody's results? How do you know you get a response from everybody? Okay, but still, how do you make sure you get everybody? Think about it this way. If you had a list of all the seniors and you went around and asked each of them, who would you prefer, as the graduation speaker? That can ensure that you get a census, so you don't miss anybody. Anybody in pubs? Publications? Isn't that what they do with the yearbook to make sure they talk to everybody to get a quote? Is they have a list and they make sure they talk to everybody. Huh? Good. Okay. Who said they could do a sample? Nobody said sample?
I said sample.
Okay. And how would you go about it?
Well, I said my sample would be like the graduating class, because I thought a census would be more like a whole school, and sample would just be the same class, and then just asking everyone what who they prefer to speak at graduation.
Okay. Yeah, but a census could be anybody that's in common. So if you're talking about all the seniors, then that's a census too. All right. So yeah, there's more than one answer for these. Guys, it's based upon how you answer the rest of it. Basically stating your facts. Nicole wanted to research how many students would attend the school dance. Which method listed below is an example of a random sample and why? She asked everybody who walks by it during lunch. No, that's what kind of a convenience. She asked her friends. That's another convenience, isn't it? Ask everyone in a dance club. They'd be a little bit biased because if they are at the dance club, then they like to dance, don't they? Ask every 10th person on a list of all enrolled students. That's your random sample. So it's taking all the enrolled students and you're getting every 10th person. Does that make sense? So you're not getting all from the same area. So like this one walks by during lunch. Well, maybe they didn't go down to the lunchroom. Maybe they're not in the dance club. Maybe they're not her friends. This way she's getting other groups of people because you want a good representative sample. Examine each of the following questions for possible bias. If you think the question is biased, indicate how and propose a better question. Do you think high school students should be required to wear uniforms? Biased or unbiased? What's influencing in this question if you said biased? Is there what words are influencing the outcome? Is there anything?
I don't really know. I didn't say.
This one is pretty much unbiased. It's not using anything like any influencing words. If I had said it like schools where students wear uniforms have better discipline. Do you think high school students should be required to wear uniforms? Okay, so that opening clause is trying to influence your answer to the question. Does that make sense? All right. You don't want any influence. Given humanity's great tradition of exploration, do you favor continued funding for space flights? Biased or unbiased? Biased. Why? Because they're asking, we've already been doing it, let's continue. And the word great tradition of exploration. To influence. Okay. Does that make sense? Using the word great to influence the reader, I should say reader, not reading, that exploration is a good thing, right? If they say great, it means it's a good thing. How would you rewrite it to not be biased? Yeah, just cut off the front part. So do you favor continued funding for space? Or you even drop the continued. Do you favor funding for space flights? Okay. What's the design? Determine whether it's an observational study or an experiment. To research the effects of dietary patterns on blood pressure in 459 subjects, subjects were randomly assigned to 3 groups and had their meals prepared by dietitians. Those were fed a diet low in fat and cholesterol and high in fruits, vegetables, and low fat dairy foods, known as the DASH diet, lowered their systolic blood pressure by an average of When compared to this, observational study or experiment? It's an experiment. How do you know it's an experiment? It says it's randomly assigned. And they're applying a treatment. Okay. Those were fed. So it's randomly assigned. If you can apply a treatment, it is an experiment. And the treatment could be something that you're just doing something to see how it influences or how it changes them. In the 2002 journal Science reported that a study of women in Finland indicated that having sons shortened the lifespan of mothers by about 34 weeks per son. Oh gosh, I have 2 sons. I know some of you guys have lots of brothers. I mean, basically it means you guys are killing your mom. It's a joke. It's a joke. I feel like my teenager daughter is killing me. Oh. All right. But that daughters helped to lengthen the mothers' lives. The data came from church records from the period of 1640 to 1870. Jeez. All right. Observational study or experiment? Observational study. They're just looking at records, right? Would you agree? Are they doing anything to the people that are during that time frame? No. So it's just an observational study. Even though it says the word study, that does not mean it wasn't an experiment. So don't okay? Don't think, oh, it says the word experiment, so it's got to be an experiment. No, look at what's happening in the picture or in the situation. Are they doing something to them or are they looking at something? If they're looking at something, it's an observational study. If they're not doing anything to influence it, it's an observational study. This one, they did something to try to see the results, to influence it. This one, they just looked at data. Okay, so this one's talking about cause and effect. In a study of 55 to 60-year-olds, researchers found that those adults who use sunscreen more often had a higher risk of skin cancer. Does this mean sunscreen causes skin cancer? No. No. Why?
They're older age, so they're more susceptible to skin cancer anyway, and also depends on like how long you're in the sun, so that's another working variable.
Okay. And were they using sunscreen all their whole life? That's the other things. Those are all things you could write down, okay? Determine the sampling method and potential source of bias in the following problem. A researcher wants to find out what local radio station is the most popular. They stand outside a country concert one Friday night and ask every 10th person who leaves that what their favorite radio station is. Okay? What's the sampling method? Okay, partly convenience with part random, right? Sometimes you can have multiples. So it is a little bit of a convenience one. What kind of bias? If it's the radio station,
It'd be biased because they're at a country concert. Everyone would love like country.
so the likelihood is that they would all say they'd like country music, right? So the bias is they're at a country concert. Okay. So this could be convenience or with a little bit of random in there. Now, if it said they went to a country concert and then they went to a hip hop concert and an R&B, that might be a little bit better. But it'd probably be the best thing would be just to stop people, like every 10th person that comes by in a popular area, and ask them. Okay. Candidate for office claims there is a positive association between television watching and crime. Does this mean that increased television watching means a person is going to commit a crime? No, no. But they've been trying to do that for years with saying about video games, haven't they? That violent video games is causing more violence in the real world. But, so what did you write as the reason? You guys are saying no. Nobody wants to describe? Yeah, there could be other factors too, right? Just try. This is like listening, like a lurking variable. Just give me something else that could cause it. Describe how to select a representative sample if you want to conduct a survey at school to find the favorite genre of music on campus. So you need to describe how you would do a sample. And it needs to be a representative sample. Representative means you need to try your best to get responses from all different groups.
I said I'd ask every kid leaving campus what headphones on.
Okay. Now, are you going to get every spot that they can leave campus? Okay.
So then it'd be every kid coming into the lunchroom, because I'd say most kids go to the lunchroom.
Okay. All right. Remember me talking about one way to get the best way to get her is doing something random. A random assignment, or random choosing. Okay. So Yolanda, what would you?
I would ask the students in each grade level, that would be random.
I'm having trouble hearing you, dear. So.
Asking the same amount of students in each grade level.
Okay. And how would you pick them?
Just a random generator, like
Okay, that's something. All right. Anybody else? Another way is get a list of all students that in alphabetical order and pick a number, random number generator. So say I'm going to pick every 25th person on the list, get a list of those names, and then go talk to them. Okay. That the likelihood is you're going to get a good mix of people. Anything with random, you're going to get a good mix. Any other questions? Okay, so you've got a review sheet from yesterday. You got this one. Your ESA is Monday, and I got 1 minute. All right. Questions, email me. All right. Okay.